Hey YouTube, league turnover. There are 4 leagues this week. So first thing, let me know in the comments below what league you're playing. There's Great League, Ultra League, Master League, and Evolution Cup. This video will go over Evolution Cup rankings and teams like I always do. But let me know in the comments below what you're playing because I will tailor my battling and teams that I'm going to put out this week to what you are playing. But Evolution Cup. I was looking at the meta and they've had this before. So it's a Great League, so 1500 CP. Pokemon that have evolved once and can evolve again. So basically the second evolution of a 3-tier. So think like just going back to the original, because that's one I played, Haunter, Machoke, like those sort of second evolution Pokemon. So let's look at the rankings because those two, I did actually put them on a couple teams and they are on here. So let's talk about the rankings. If you haven't played this before, it is a Vigoroth +2 meta, unfortunately, right? Vigoroth is just, the body slam spam is real. The counter, there's so many things weak to counter on this. Swilus, Piloswine, Chansey, Celio, Magneton. So the counter is just great. Body slam spam is real. Bulldoze for coverage. It's going to be on the majority of teams. Swilus is an interesting one because like it's going to lose to Vigoroth, which is going to be everywhere, but it also kind of covers Vigoroth's weakness because one of the Vigoroth's struggles is going to be against your ghosts on here. So Dusclops is on here a couple times, Haunter. So Swilus as a dark is probably your best option to deal with those. So that's why I think they're a pretty deadly 1-2 combo here. And I wouldn't be surprised if you see them on a lot of teams with like a safe swap. Golbat is an interesting one because it can I don't think it beats both of them, but like it will resist the counters from Vigoroth and it does okay with Swilus. So it's a nice Pokemon if you want to use it in the third. Plus if you look at 4 or 5, and I guess 6 technically too, of your sort of fighters in here, Hakamo and Machoke, you have the wing attack that deals with that. So it's a nice all-around coverage. Plus with all those ghost Pokemon, you can land the Shadow Ball to nuke one shot there. So I think pretty good coverage. That's why Golbat is on here twice at 3 and 10. I just kind of went over Hakamo and Machoke 4 and 5. Again, Hakamo is a fighter too, but it is using Dragon Tail. It does have Brick Break, which is going to be good for Vigoroth, and then Dragon Tail, Dragon Claw. Again, anytime you can use a Dragon type move, those are one of the best moves in the game. So there's not a ton of Fairy in this and not a ton of Steel. So it's pretty wide open with its ability to hit at least neutral on things. And Machoke, need a Cross Chop Legacy move, but Karate Chop, Cross Chop is just going to be one of the best answers for Vigoroth, and kind of still does great against all those other things that I mentioned that Vigoroth dominates with, like the Piloswine, anything that's to counter, right? Dragonair is like a Swilus light, but I actually like Dragonair better to a certain extent just because how many Vigoroths are going to be, right? So the trade-off is you don't have as great of an answer to Ghost, but you do not take super effective from counter. Right, so you're both Dragon Breath users. You both have Body Slam spam. You actually have an Aqua Tail spam as well, except they have the Dark Pulse. Swilus has the Dark Pulse to deal with the Ghost, and you don't take super effective from counter. So that is your trade-off. You can do Double Dragon. Just know that there are some ice, and we'll go over those in 1 second here. Ghost, I just kind of covered. Dusclops, Haunter. The best answer. It's interesting. Is it the best answer? Yes and no. The thing is, counters resisted and Body Slam is resisted, so they can only throw Bulldoze. Your problem is Hex is also resisted, and so is Poltergeist. So you can only throw Ice Punches, right? So you're just basically Ice Punching each other and Bulldozing each other. The thing is, it takes a lot. You get to Ice Punch a lot quicker, right? So I think you're probably going to take those matchups just because how fast you get to the Ice Punches and how glassy Vigoroth is compared to like Dusclops, which is an XL. So I think that's why you're going to take those matchups. And again, there's not a ton of darks in this, so there's also other counter users that I mentioned, Hakamo and Machoke, right? So, well, I mean, not a counter user, but fighter, so decent there. So, and just in neutral situations, pretty good to have ghost Pokemon. Ice, there are Swilus, there are Dragons, Hakamo, there are, did I say Flyers and Golbat? Yeah, and then there are Dragons and Dragonair as well. So, Piloswine, Celio, they're on here multiple times because, again, they're great answers to those typings. And then in neutral matchups, Powder Snow, Body Slam, Spam, or Powder Snow, Avalanche just is going to hit so good in neutral matchups. So very easy safe swap like Piloswine or Celio. Quite honestly, I think they're probably 2 of the better safe swaps in this meta. Just because there is some, like I'm going to go to the electric next. There are some electric to deal with Celio. So maybe Piloswine is better. Because, I mean, If you get hit with a Vigoroth, the Powder Snow Avalanche, you're probably still going to grab a shield with that. So that's not a bad option. Chansey, do we have to cover Chansey? It's a counter user. Oh, it's running Zen Headbutt. I was going to say. Okay, so it's a Zen Headbutt, so you're going to beat the Golbats. It makes more sense because then you're also going to do better against the Ghost. So Zen Headbutt does make more sense just thinking about it. It's going to have a rough time. If running Zen Headbutt, it's going to have a rough time with Vigoroth, but it's going to do and Zweilous. So if you have a chance on your team, cover those two. But otherwise, it'll do pretty well in all neutral situations here. Again, Zen Headbutt will do super effective against Hakamo and Machoke. And then you'll be able to hit the Ghost better. Super effective against Golbat. So that's why it's again, just bulk. You use it to absorb damage, right? So you're running it with like two pretty glassy Pokemon that can hit super hard. I'm thinking Haunter and Zweilous or Vigoroth, like, and then Chansey to just absorb that energy. It's very, very, very annoying to play against. And then there's some electric on here in Charjabug and Magneton. Again, there are some water in Celio. I don't know about this because you have... I'm looking at Hakamo and I'm looking at Zweilous, which are going to resist the electric. Magnet Bomb is still like a really hard-hitting move. And you do have X-Scissor, which is super effective against the dark. So I guess it actually does have play. But then again, Dragonair is there as well. Again, in neutral matchups like Dusclops and stuff like that, you'll do okay. So I have Charjabug on one of my teams, so we'll go over the numbers in a second here. And then Magmar, I guess it's because it's a Karate Chop user. That's interesting. So it's a fire with a counter, like a fighting type fast move. So let's look at teams. So I just started with like Vigoroth, because again, look at those. Again, you're going to dominate, pretty much not dominate, but you're going to win every matchup, and then the only ones you lose to is where either they're a counter user, or like Machoke, or they are going to resist the fighting like Charjabug and Golbat. Otherwise, it's just like straight down the board. And so how do you beat counter users and Charjabug? You just pair it with a Ghost, right? Easy peasy, cover each other's weaknesses. Put in a third, Celio. I think Celio is a great safe swap. Put in Pilswine as well. ABB style team, Vigoroth or Celio is your safe swap. And then just run. Like, I think this is going to be one of the easiest. So this is the thing. This is probably one of the easiest team builds in this meta, just because insane coverage down the board, covers each other's weaknesses, multiple safe swaps. So I think this is probably easy to run. So maybe I'll do something like this. That being said, it's something that like you look at this team like, okay, I need to counter this team because you're going to see some sort of variation of this. So keep that in mind. I may try starting with it, but there are a ton of other Pokemon to do in this meta, and we will look at some of them here. So Zweilous, like I said, you are weak to Vigoroth and the other fighters in Hakamo and Machoke. So that's a lot of the top losses here. But again, here are your coverages on Haunter, big win there. Basically, Dusclops will take away your ghosts. You'll do well in just pretty much most neutral situations. Then there's not a ton of there is Floette, but otherwise there's not a ton of fairies in this. You lose to Chansey even though it's running Zen Headbutt. That's crazy. Okay, but again, pretty neutral. And even your loss to Vigoroth, the Dragon Breath and Body Slam spam is going to add up pretty quick. So it's not a terrible matchup. If you're going to lose to Vigoroth, then you're going to lose to some of these things. I covered it with Machoke there. That adds when you go in with Machoke, you're going to really add a flying and ghost weakness. So I covered the third one that with Haunter, which will also deal with the fairy down at the bottom here. If you see a lot of Floettes, I don't think you will, but maybe. But yeah, so covered it down there at the bottom. Yeah, pretty balanced team. I think Zweilous. Honestly, I think Zweilous is probably your safe swap. I think the other two in the back cover each other's weaknesses. Machoke and Haunter cover each other's weaknesses pretty well. And Zweilous is pretty safe overall in this meta, just given its Dragon Breath and Body Slam spam. Golbat. So Golbat's ranked high, and I think it's because it like deals with Vigoroth, like resists the counter, and then deals with the fighters Hakamo and Machoke. So that's why I think it's so high. But if you look at that, there's still actually quite a lot of losses in here. Again, there's a lot of ice, there's electric. Even these ghosts seem to be beating you because it takes a while to get the Shadow Ball. If you've never used Golbat, it takes a while to get to it. So paired with the Hakamo, again, Dragon Tail, nice combo though. And then here we go with Pilswine. And this is kind of what I thought about Pilswine. and Celio. There's so much safety in Piloswine because you are weak to counter, but that ground typing helps. It's probably going to help you more in this meta because there's like not no grass, but there's not a ton of grass in this meta, right? For that weakness. And just look at your ability to like win a ton of matchups, a lot of flyers, a lot of things that you just resist, and then just like no bad matchups. Like I said, you'll lose the Vigoroth and stuff like that to counter users because you're weak to counter. But I still think that you can Powder Snow, Avalanche, and grab shields here. So I think it's going to be a very, very strong Pokemon. Actually, I have Piloswine, but I'm not going to use Team No. 1. I think Piloswine's going to be on my first team because I truly think that is going to be one of the best Pokemon in this meta. So Piloswine and 2 others, I haven't decided what. Probably something on like the front page. But I don't know yet. I'm still deciding. If you want to go more off book, I actually tried like 3 sort of unique Pokemon here. Not unique, but so let's just start with Charjabug. It was ranked high. And I'm like, why is it ranked so high? Again, deals with most things. Weak to Graveler and Hackmo, which is kind of just resisting everything. And then you still lose like Vigoroth as well. So I'm not sold on Charjabug. Floette was an interesting one because as a fairy, I'm assuming it's a fairy with the Hackmo. Yeah, it's got to be because Hackmo is resisting the you're resisting the Dragon Tails, and that's why you dominate that matchup. Floette's got such a good matchup against the top Pokemon, right? Dragons and fighters, and that's 5 straight wins against the top 5 meta. So that is why I think it's worth it playing in here. There are obviously some answers to it in this, so you got to cover those. But you know what? It's not bad. And then Dragonair, like I said, there are a lot of just strong safe swaps in this meta, and Dragonair is one of them. Same thing. You're not going to lose a ton of matchups straight up. So I am thinking for teams, you essentially could go, I'm going to just bring up PVPoke, but I've got to imagine there are so many strong safe swaps in this meta. Like I just called out 5 right there. And this does not surprise me. This is exactly what I said. Vigoroth is an easy safe swap. Zweilous is a good safe swap. Dragonair is a good safe swap. They have Dusclops here. They have Golbat. I'm not as sold on Golbat. And then Celio's there as well. So like I said, I think, and Piloswine's not as highly ranked up there, which is interesting. I think Piloswine is also a very, very strong safe swap. So I think there's so many good safe swaps in this meta. I actually may go straight safe swap team to start. I may do something to the extent of Piloswine, Dragonair, Vigoroth. Something to that extent to start off, just because there is safety all around and you're never like in a terrible matchup. So I may just do, if you want safety, I think there are a lot of Pokemon in this meta that are safe to use. There are also like, again, I just used, check out my video yesterday, Caracosta, which was ranked 220th. So there may be some Pokemon that you find very obscure that actually has a lot of play against this meta. So check that out. Think about it. Let me know in the comments below what you think about using in this cup, or if you're going to play Great League or Ultra League. I don't know how I'll play this a ton. I'll probably do like 1 or 2 teams, and then I'll probably go to Great League is my guess, because I've got a couple Great League Pokemon I want to try out. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you are interested in, and I appreciate the thumbs up, comments, and I will see you guys in the next one.